Hello students, welcome to KANISHKA IAS. Let us understand what is constitutionalism. Constitutionalism is nothing but a principle which states that the government sources its powers from the constitution and the limits are also imposed by the same constitution. So it means any political system or political authority is not endowed with the ultimate or absolute powers in the country. Every power must be exercised within the framework given under the constitution. For instance, fundamental rights in the constitution limits the powers of the government. At the same time, directive principles of state policy clearly indicates what are the goals of the Indian state, that is establishment of the welfare state. That's how the constitutionalism is generally visible. Moreover, the constitutionalism is observed both in terms of letter as well as spirit. What is the meaning of letter? Letter is something which is clearly written in the constitution, the written rules, regulations in the constitution. For example, Article 21 says, right to life and liberty shall not be deprived except according to the procedure established by law. So, the constitution mandates that every power of the government must be exercised within the framework of law. So, that is what called as letter. But whereas spirit means the noble intentions, the goals, the ideals behind the written provisions of the constitution is called as spirit. In fact, no constitution in the world is able to explain or express the clear rules and regulations for any given society. Every constitution may be handicapped by the limited information presented. That's why not only the written provisions are important, but also the conventions, practices and also the spirit is also important. For example, if you try to understand the letter versus spirit according to the Indian Constitution, if you try to see, Article 93 of the Constitution says Deputy Speaker must be elected as soon as possible. Okay, but you understand the Deputy Speaker election has not been conducted yet. So what does it mean? It means whatever the written provision that is there, if it is not properly analyzed or understood with a proper spirit, with proper value system, their realization will also become difficult. That's why any constitution will be able to show the proper effect and impact only when it is properly driven by written provisions as well as unwritten provisions. Written provisions means the letter of the constitution, unwritten provisions means the spirit of the constitution. Let us understand one example. You take the Vishaka guidelines. Actually, the constitution says the law legislating power, the power to enact the law is vested only with the parliament or state legislative assemblies according to the division made under constitution, especially under article 246 of the constitution. But you understand this women has approached the Supreme Court that at workplace the proper conditions are not provided and employer is not taking effective measures to prevent sexual harassment at the workplace. Supreme Court did not leave that women unaddressed with her problems. Rather, it has invoked the ultimate powers under Article 142 of the Constitution and provided the guidelines to the employers and moreover the companies and government to follow, especially to take measures against the victimization of the women at the workplace or harassment of the women at the workplace. Here what we can understand, the Supreme Court is not just going after the letter of the Constitution, rather after the spirit of the Constitution, because the spirit of the Constitution is nothing but the welfareism. Okay, the establishment of the welfare state is nothing but the spiritual aspect of the Constitution. That's why any constitution, if it is successful, any constitution has to address the needs of the people, any constitution has to be people centric. Definitely both letter is important as well as spirit also important. Why letter is important? The written provisions will be ensuring the clear rules and regulations so that there will be no ambiguities or confusions for the government to use its authority. And you can also fix the responsibility for any encroachment of power. There is no subjective interpretation of rules and regulations if everything is written in the proper manner. Whereas the spirit of the constitution will be essentially filling the gaps left in the constitution. But at the same time, it will be very much dynamic. Sometimes it may be misused also. For example, you just understand in a Golaknath case, Supreme Court has gone only with respect to letter of the constitution, said that parliament has no power to amend the constitution. Okay, article 368 was written in such a manner that judiciary and other people or institutions will be able to understand parliament is having that power, but unfortunately the power is not clearly mentioned in article 368. But later Supreme Court in the Keshavananda Bharati case held that basic structure doctrine is the paramount, where the parliament has the power to amend the constitution but not the essential features in the name of the basic structure of the constitution. In the first case, the Supreme Court has gone with the letter of the constitution. In the second case, the Supreme Court has gone with the spirit of the constitution. So in essence, what we can understand is, now in order to promote the constitutional spirit, so we need to try to balance both letter of the constitution and the spirit of the constitution. Thank you so much.